course, with James Baker at the helm.
Attention automobile owners. Is high-octane gas a ripoff?
And a toe-tapping tune from the country singer Mary Chapin Carpenter. Here's the old toe tapper himself, Bill Evans.
Well, where is summer? It certainly hasn't been here. It's been everywhere but here. The weekend's going to be cool for the eastern two-thirds of the nation. It's going to be hot in the western third of the nation. Summer continues there. Hot in the west, cool in the east. That's how the weather shapes up.
It's nice to have you here.
Thanks a lot.
Spencer took a day off. A little short week for him.
That's right. Charlie's taking a bunch of days off.
A bunch of days off.
He's coming back on Monday.
All right, well, a lot of things going on, though. As expected, James Baker said goodbye to his staff at the State Department yesterday and is taking stock of the situation now at the Bush campaign, which is he's now been named head. And he's got his work cut out for him. Right now, our latest poll shows Mr. Bush trailing Bill Clinton by 26 points. So this morning, we're going to talk a little strategy with Mary Madeline, the outspoken deputy campaign manager for the Bush Quayle campaign.
Also going to do it with a woman who's really dedicated her life to the protection of creatures who really cannot speak for themselves. Jane Goodall, the chimp researcher, the conservationist. She's going to tell us about a campaign of her own involving young naturalists who are quite eager to make a difference. Leading the news at this hour, the question is, will there be military intervention in Bosnia? Lisa McCree of the ABC overnight program World News Now has that story and all the other news of this day. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning, Mike. And good morning to you. Those resolutions we've been telling you about all week at the UN about the war in Bosnia, well, the Security Council has now approved them. One resolution allows the use of all measures necessary to facilitate the delivery of humanitarian assistance. It also demands that international inspectors be allowed into those detention camps. The other resolution warns that anybody who commits or orders grave breaches of the Geneva Conventions on War Crimes will be held individually responsible. So this morning, the question is, now that the UN's threatening military action, will that threat be carried out? Here's ABC's Barry Dunsmore.
The Security Council resolution, which approves the use of force to deliver humanitarian relief to Bosnia, was overwhelmingly approved.
This is not a resolution which is prescribing the use of force. It is merely a resolution which is authorizing it as a last resort.
If it comes to actually having to use force to deliver relief, the results may be underwhelming. At NATO, they are trying to draw up contingency plans. The problem is that most members of NATO, for one reason or another, refuse to provide ground troops. And the experts say that if the Sarajevo airport and a land corridor are to be given adequate security, it would take thousands of ground troops. In fact, the Security Council is counting on the threat of force to keep relief flowing. And for now, that may be working. The airlift is working well in recent days, and the ground convoys have been getting through much more frequently. If force does not have to be used, everyone, it seems, will be happy, except the Bosnians. The Bosnians see Western military intervention as the only hope to save their new country. But even with this latest Security Council resolution, such intervention looks increasingly unlikely. Barry Dunsmore, ABC News, the State Department.
Serbia's Prime Minister Milan Panic is to be in Brussels today for the European community's newest attempt at peace talks. Last night, Panic was in Sarajevo. He seemed to be struggling with his emotions after the murder of ABC News producer David Kaplan. The 45-year-old Kaplan was killed by a sniper's bullet as he rode in a car in Panic's motorcade through Sarajevo. Kaplan was the first American journalist to die in this war. Panic claims that snipers are being paid $500 to kill journalists. He offered no proof for that claim, and it should be noted Serbian forces are blamed for most sniping incidents in Sarajevo. Now on to the presidential campaign. As expected, President Bush announced yesterday that James Baker will leave his post at the State Department to run the White House and effectively run the Bush campaign as well. Bill Clinton, campaigning in California, said he didn't think too much of that. He called Baker a worthy political opponent, but said he's more interested in who's running the country than who's running a campaign. The focus of Clinton's day was a major foreign policy speech. In it, Clinton showed he's not shy about attacking Bush and Baker on that front.
When it was clear to all that Yugoslavia was inexorably breaking apart, Mr. Bush and his Secretary of State gave short shrift to the yearnings of those seeking freedom.
In Houston, where the Republicans are getting ready for their convention next week, reaction to Baker's job switch was naturally more upbeat. They're hoping the return of the GOP master strategist, along with 4 nights of primetime Clinton bashing, will turn their campaign around. Here's ABC's Mike Von Fremd.
Republicans gathering at the Astrodome want to see George Bush come out swinging after his renomination here. So party insiders are delighted that the president is once again turning to Jim Baker, the master of many trades.
I think he's coming to the White House as chief of staff to pull together domestic policy, economic policy, and foreign policy. And to Jim Baker, good policy makes good politics at a time like this.
A time like this refers to the fact that the president is more than 20 points behind in the polls.
Jim Baker to the rescue.
While Jack Kemp may see it that way, others tried to downplay any panic in the party.
I don't see any desperation in it. I think it's a recognition of the skills and competency and experience of Jim Baker.
And the Republicans were quick to belittle the Democrats' charge that the president was sacrificing leadership at the State Department to save his job.
Well, it's just typical of the Democrats to say that because to Bill Clinton, foreign affairs is just that, foreign. He thinks the person that is the Secretary of State is the person that issues license plates in Little Rock.
You're going to hear a lot more of that kind of Clinton bashing next week. All the convention speakers have been saving up their very best broadsides for the primetime show. Lisa?
Mike, one of the most controversial points on the platform has been the plank on abortion. Yesterday, Barbara Bush made a statement that some are reading as pro-choice. When asked if abortion and homosexual behavior was a matter of personal preference, she said yes. How's that playing in Houston?
Well, it appears that they're trying to have it both ways. The party platform is very tough. It takes a very hard line about abortion, saying there should be a constitutional amendment opposing it. But at the same time, the Republicans are looking for ways to reach out to people who disagree with the platform and say that there's room for them. The president's going to be nominated by Lynn Martin, who supports a woman's right to abortion. And with Barbara Bush, she'll be a speaker at the convention. With her coming out with these comments now, it's really an attempt, I think, to reach out and say, if you disagree with us on abortion, look to other things. Try and find some ways to attract as many voters as they can.
Mike, you said that they're going to pick an issue a day to attack Clinton on. When they get to Tuesday, when they talk about the economy, how are they going to do that?
Well, it's going to be tough because the economy's not doing well, but they're going to try once again to paint him as a liberal tax and spender.
All right, Mike Von Fremd in Houston. Thanks, Mike. Well, coming up in just a few moments on Good Morning America, senior Bush Quayle campaign strategist Mary Matalin. The FBI is looking into a possible wiretapping scheme against former presidential contender Ross Perot. The Texas chairman of the Bush Quayle campaign, James Overwetter, said a man came to his office offering to sell what he claimed were tape recordings of Perot's office phone. Overwetter says he turned the offer down. FBI agents contacted Overwetter after the visit. The campaign chairman says both he and Perot are cooperating with the investigation. Maybe Ross Perot was right when he talked about dirty tricks. Now we go to see if there are any dirty tricks in the weather forecast. Back to Joan and Bill Evans.
All right, Lisa, no dirty tricks. Bill Evans is here today, meteorologist that's just too cool. His map is just too cool for the room.
You're absolutely right. Actually, too cool for this weather map. Actually, the coolest.
All right, Bill, thanks very much. 10 minutes past the hour right now. James Baker is the new man in the Bush campaign, but the campaign's most powerful woman is Mary Matalin. The Republican convention gets underway on Monday, and the deputy campaign manager for the Bush Quayle campaign, Mary Matalin, joins us now from the Sheraton Astrodome Hotel in Houston. Ms. Matalin, good to have you with us this morning.
Good morning, America.
Well, let's begin, I guess, with the obvious, and that is Mr. Baker coming on board. Regardless of what the job title is, what you're talking about here is a man who is perceived as being the savior of the Bush campaign. Is James Baker expected to do what others apparently have not been able to do, and that is turn this campaign around?
James Baker has been at the epicenter of remarkable accomplishments and remarkable changes all around the world and in America, in the foreign policy area, the domestic policy area, and the economic policy area. He will help integrate a second-term agenda for the president, and he's a man that knows how to deal with change, and he's a man who gets things done. He is a remarkable man, and he'll be great for the campaign.
But apparently he's got to undo some things that either weren't being done or being done incorrectly. And I guess my next question is, who's to blame for the problems in the campaign?
There's no problems with the campaign, Mike. It's time for the general election. It's time for the time that President Bush wants to focus on the campaign. We'll be fine. Jim Baker will do a great job over there. Bob Teeter has been doing and will continue to do a great job of the campaign. We'll be just fine.
Yeah, I know you don't want to read a lot into the polls because obviously margins come and go and shrink and gain, but still, being this far back, this late in an election year, some would perceive that as being a problem.
This is a very funny election year. It's unlike any we've seen before. For this entire year, all you've heard is the Democrats. They've been a swarm of locusts on the president. They never have anything but negative things to say about the president and about all kinds of affairs. They never tell you the good parts about the economy. They never tell you that our GDP is twice that of any country in the world. They never tell you that inflation is at a 20-year low, that interest rates are at a 20-year low. They never tell you that we're the world's #1 exporter, that George Bush has increased exports 30% and created 1.8 million jobs. They don't tell you about the incredible trade agreements that the president has negotiated, most recently NAFTA, that are opening up all new opportunities for trade in aerospace and manufacturing and agriculture and telecommunications. So after a year of being pummeled like that, of course the voters are having a negative view of this campaign. But when we get to the fall, and they'll compare and contrast these two candidates who are very, very different. One wants radical change. He wants national health care. He wants industrial policy. And they'll compare them to the proven record of George Bush.
Let me jump in
vote
for a minute.
George Bush.
I'm sorry. Let me jump in because we only have a limited amount of time. You really sense, Rich Bond has said this outright, that the media is biased against George Bush. You see it that way, too?
Well, I think some of the media is biased. I mean, when the Washington Post calls the Clinton-Gore ticket the heartthrob of the heartbeat of America or something like that, I mean, yes, I think they're a little bit biased.
He's also criticized Hillary Clinton, and that's endured the wrath, I guess incurred the wrath, I should say, of Barbara Bush. Mrs. Bush has also been quoted now as saying that she doesn't think abortion should be in the Republican Party platform. Do you agree with Mrs. Bush?
Well, a lot of people in the party share that view. It was openly and freely and fully debated. The platform is a president's platform. It was passed unanimously yesterday. Everybody knows where the president is on this very passionate issue, and it's his platform.
You comfortable with that stand individually, as a human being, irrespective of political persuasions? You agree with the Republicans' platform plank that abortion should be outlawed?
I'm not running for president, Mike. It's irrelevant what my personal view is. I support the president. I support this
I understand
platform.
that, but you seem to be outspoken in saying, you know, the things you like about the platform, the economic planks and the national projection of power around the world. So why can't we get you to say what you think about the abortion plank?
I think the platform is fine. I think the platform does what it's supposed to do. It represents the president's views and it represents the heart of the party, and that's what's important.
There also seems to be a discrepancy over that famous memo you wrote about the Democrats and about Clinton and Gore. A moment ago, you referred to them as a swarm of locusts, and as Mr. Reagan might say, there you go again. The president said you apologized for that memo. I heard you say yesterday you didn't, that you stand by it.
I do not apologize for defending the president, and I certainly don't apologize for pointing out with 1,000% accuracy the hypocrisy of the Democrats, who have not spent one day on the road not bashing and trashing the president. And to this very day, another item in that memo, one of Bill Clinton's 3 national co-chairmen, a Congresswoman, Maxine Waters, called George Bush a racist. This from a campaign who talks about healing. That's some of the items that weren't covered in that memo. And when Bill Clinton, this is a campaign that called for me to be fired, and they won't even apologize for a Congresswoman, one of their 3 national co-chairpersons, calling the President of the United States a racist. I rest my case, and I stand by that memo.
Where do you think this campaign goes from here? You're going to come out at this convention, do you think, with the momentum that you need to close the gap? Is this going to be a repeat of 4 years ago?
Every election is different. We're going to have a fine convention. We're going to tell the truth about George Bush's record. We're going to talk about his agenda for the future. He's a remarkable man. We will come out of the convention pretty solid, and we'll campaign very aggressively in the fall. We're going to talk about the record. We're going to talk about the agenda. We're going to talk about the qualifications of these candidates. And when the American public has an opportunity to compare and contrast and hear their voices, they will make the right decision. We'll be there in November.
Ms. Madeline, we have to leave it there. We'll be seeing you in Houston over the next week. Mary Madeline.
Great.
Thanks
Have a good day, Mike.
We
Thanks.
appreciate it. 16 minutes past the hour. Question now. Premium gas. Is it a waste of money? A debate when Good Morning America continues.
Minutes after, car owners, when you pull up at the gas pump, are you paying for premium but getting no extra bang for your buck? Well, in a new report, the consumer group Public Citizen claims that motorists unnecessarily bought between $1 and $3 billion worth of high-octane gas in 1990. The reasons? Deceptive ads promoting the more expensive high-octane fuel and mislabeled gas pumps that overstate octane ratings. Joining us now from Washington, Joan Claybrook, President of Public Citizen, and William O'Keefe, Executive Vice President of the American Petroleum Institute. We welcome you both to Good Morning America. Ms. Claybrook, I'll start with you. We'll take up the issues one at a time from your study, beginning with this advertising issue. And you cite a number of different ads that you say are misleading. We're going to start by taking a look at one of those ads. This was introduced in June 1991. Watch.
Hop into Amoco and take the Silver One tank test. Fill up with 1 tank full of Amoco Silver. It'll clean up the filthiest fuel injectors. Not 5 tankfuls, not 3 tankfuls. New and improved Amoco Silver with even more cleaning power does it in just 1 tankful, or your money back. So take the Silver One tank test and bring back the exhilaration. Bring back the power.
All right, Ms. Claybrook, your problem with this ad.
Well, the oil industry is spending some $200 million a year to flood the airwaves with deceptive and misleading ads, such as this one, which tell consumers that they have to buy a premium or high-octane gasoline in order to have cleaner engines, clean-running engines, in order to have more power. And neither one of those claims are accurate. So consumers are wasting up to $3 billion a year. It's about $95 a person. And they don't need gourmet gasoline in order to make their cars work.
So that I understand and everyone understands, you're saying that the lower octane gases also have the detergents in them?
That's right. The lower octane have the detergents, and the auto companies have also said that the oil companies are engaged in trying to push the consumer into higher octane gasoline buying. But most cars, unless you own a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, are made for 87 octane.
All right, Mr. O'Keefe, why don't you explain what the gasoline octane rating means and then respond to these charges?
Well, first, the octane rating is the quality of the gasoline that affects engine knock. Let me just make a couple of points. First, if anybody mislabels their gasoline, that is fraud, and they ought to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Second, what motorists ought to do is read their manual, which tells them what kind of gasoline to use, and then judge on the basis of their own experience, because some cars do, after accumulating mileage, develop a ping. Let me say about this report that it is factually flawed, and that advertisement shows one reason why it is. That's a mid-range gasoline, not a premium. That report is factually bankrupt. They ought to file for protection under Chapter 11. It contains half-truths and misstated information. It doesn't say the premium sales have been falling since '89, and it doesn't show the data before '86 where premium sales were less than required by cars. So it's simply not true. Oil company expenditures for advertising have been flat when adjusted for inflation, and yet sales of premium gasoline rise and fall with the economy and the price of gasoline, which has in real terms been falling also.
I want to jump in here because I don't want to talk about prices or sales. I just want to try to figure out a couple of things, that being, first of all, the detergent issue. Is it also in the lesser octane as well as the...
All gasolines have detergents. Different brands have different detergent and additive packages. Okay. They're not all the same. Let me point out that there was a government study cited in Jones' report. It gave 4 reasons for the increased sale of premium gasoline. They only cited 1.
Okay, and Joan, I just want to ask you, you just heard him say that as cars get older, they need the premium. Do you disagree with that?
I do disagree. In fact, most cars are made by the auto companies to use less than 87 octane because the companies know that as cars get a little bit older, they need a slightly higher octane, that is 87 octane. So it's very misleading what they've said, and in addition, the sales of premium gasoline are way up right now. They went down during the closure.
I unfortunately have to jump out, but we will continue this.
The BBC, Turner Broadcasting and Time Life Video dare you to take.
I'm Paula Zahn.
And I'm Mark McEwen. Harry is on his way to our Washington bureau from the Vice President's residence. He'll join us a little bit later.
He's driving like this right now.
Fast.
Normally, what, a 10-minute drive, and in the rain, probably a lot longer.
Try to find a cab at that time of morning,
yeah,
too.
A little bit tough. We have a very important meeting to tell you about this morning that's taking place in Atlanta. The subject, the new disease that seems to resemble AIDS. In just a couple of minutes, we'll be talking with Dr. Anthony Fauci, the head of AIDS research for the National Institutes of Health.
And a little turn, want the perfect tan in a hurry? Some products claim they'll help you get it. Coming up, A shame on you report reveals the naked truth. It's catching, Paula.
Oh, no. It's Friday, I think.
Entertainment reporter Steve Kometko talks to two of Hollywood's fastest rising stars, Bridget Fonda and Jennifer Jason Leigh. That'll be coming up.
Maybe you should move away from me so it doesn't catch too much. Time now to get caught up on the news this morning. France offered to send 1,100 troops to Bosnia under the UN's authorization to use force for relief efforts there. In Brussels, other NATO members this morning are considering what, if any, military action to take in the former Yugoslavia. Bert Quint reports on the crisis, including the story of one group of refugees who somehow managed to escape the fighting in Bosnia.
The war was behind them as these 300 women and children arrived in the Croatian port of Split. But the tears weren't only of relief. I'm happy because I took my children out of hell, one woman said. But she, like so many others, had to leave her husband and parents behind, perhaps to fight, perhaps to die in Bosnia. The next step in the journey through what was Yugoslavia to refuge in Austria and elsewhere in Europe was by ship. Meanwhile, it was becoming clear that much of the misery these people have escaped was not such a surprise to U.S. officials after all. Newsday newspaper in New York reports that U.S. intelligence agencies told the administration months ago of widespread atrocities by the Serbian forces that ran these prison camps, including summary executions and beatings that caused thousands of Muslim deaths. Yugoslav Premier Milan Panic, who was in Sarajevo yesterday, is expected now in Brussels, where a European mediator has opened a new round of talks with leaders of the republics that used to make up Yugoslavia. Bert Quint, CBS News, London.
In Iraq, a UN weapons team has ended a 3-day inspection tour of suspected military sites. The team returned to Baghdad this morning. They didn't disclose where they went or what they may have found, but said the trip was worthwhile. The team leader said the group was watched closely by Iraqi officials, but received the normal level of cooperation. Back in this country, Republicans gathering in Houston for next week's convention are delighted with James Baker's latest career move. Baker resigned as Secretary of State to return to the White House as Chief of Staff and head of the Bush campaign. Naturally, what makes the Republicans happy means trouble for Bill Clinton, and he knows it.
It'll be mean, but it'll be more cleverly mean. And they haven't been very clever lately. They've been so overt in their meanness. I think they'll be negative like they were 4 years ago, but they'll probably try to be a little cleverer about it.
Baker masterminded the president's successful 1988 campaign. An announcement for General Motors may trigger an auto price war. GM says it's raising prices on 1993 models just over 1.5%. That's less than the increases announced earlier by Ford and Chrysler, which went as high as 3%. The other two say they will review GM's prices before deciding whether to scale back. In Southern California, an unusual summer storm dumped up to 6 inches of rain on parts of San Diego County in less than 3 hours yesterday. The storm knocked down dozens of trees, leaving branches scattered across roadways. High winds also downed power lines, causing some outages as well. Scientists say material taken from a vast crater in southern Mexico supports the theory that the dinosaurs died after an asteroid hit the Earth 65 million years ago. The crater, 110 miles across, straddles the coast of the Yucatan Peninsula. Scientists say the rock that caused it was 6 miles in diameter and traveling 22,000 miles per hour. That's the news at just about 25 minutes before the hour, but Barney survived, Mark. He's with us every morning.
Barney and Fred, the Flintstones.
No, I was actually thinking Barney the Dinosaur.
Oh,
Have
Barney
you seen
the
that? Well,
Dinosaur.
you wouldn't have reason to watch that
Oh,
at 8 o'clock in the morning.
I'll wait for the book. This weather segment is sponsored by Mountain Grown Folgers Crisp.
That's right, it's August suntan time. There's a product out there that appeals to everyone who wants a tan fast. But is there any proof that it works?
Shame, 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 shame on you.
Suntan seekers beware. The Food and Drug Administration has just issued a new warning. It concerns a group of products called tanning accelerators. Now, these are not the self-tanning products. These products claim that if you rub them on a day or two before going to the beach, once you get into the sun, you'll tan quicker. That's what many people are looking for.
As soon as you see the word overnight, you think you're going to get tan quick. So, yeah, I'd buy it.
Estee Lauder's overnight pre-tan accelerator claims to work overnight to promote deeper, faster tanning. Coppertone calls its natural tan accelerator a technological breakthrough that speeds up the natural tanning process. Banana Boat also promises its accelerator delivers a faster, deeper, longer-lasting tan, as does Nu Skin's Sunright Excel. Now, everyone knows about the sun's harmful rays, so tanning accelerators have a lot of appeal.
I figure the faster I get a tan, the better.
When you work during the week, you do everything you can to get a tan as quickly as you could. So I guess these would be great if they worked.
These would be great, except for one thing. The manufacturers have never proven that these products work. So the Food and Drug Administration has just sent a warning letter to 7 companies that make these tanning accelerators, saying, show us some proof or stop making these claims.
I know of no studies that show that tan accelerators work. There have been several studies that have been done in controlled scientific areas that show that they don't work.
The theory behind these accelerators is that they have a protein in them that's a building block for getting a tan. So if you rub them on your skin, that protein will seep into your skin overnight and you'll tan faster once you're in the sun. But this dermatologist says those products cannot work.
Your skin is really like a suit of armor, and it's designed to not let things penetrate. These proteins will not penetrate into your skin to get to the point where the tan would be generated, therefore they don't work at all.
After receiving the FDA's warning letter, Estee Lauder says it will now stop making the claims. As for the other companies, they say they don't have to prove the accelerators work because their products are cosmetics, not drugs. But the FDA disagrees, and so do some sunbathers.
You'd have to have proof. Show me.
Shame, shame, shame. Shame on you.
Now, a couple of companies claim they have done in-house tests that prove the accelerators do work, but they haven't made those test results available for independent scientists to look at.
So if your skin is supposed to be naturally resistant to this stuff,
Right.
is there anything in here that's harmful?
No, it's not harmful. No one's claiming that it is. They're just saying it doesn't work, so don't waste your money. And in fact, I think what these companies will do, at least one has already said that it's going to remarket it as a moisturizer instead of claiming that it gives you a faster tan.
That's the way around it, right? To say this is a cosmetic product, like you were saying, and not a
Cosmetics, you
drug.
can say anything you want and not have to prove it. But once you say it alters the body's function, that makes it a drug, and you've got to prove it.
It's a real ripoff. This
Right.
stuff is what, $10 to $16,
Very
depending on what
expensive.
company it is.
Right.
Arnold Diaz, thanks.
Thanks.
Don't take the stuff with you to the beach this weekend. Of course, it's going to rain anyway, Mark.
19 before the hour. Next on CBS this morning, looking for clues to a mystery disease that looks an awful lot like AIDS.